Hello, I'm Rishabh Sigdar and welcome to the Masterclass on Inner Child Healing. I'm proud to present to you Ashwita Goel, who is an author, Reiki master teacher, hypnotherapist and past life therapist based in Bangalore, India. Ashwita has over 20 years of experience with traditional Usui Reiki, which she learned from her mother. She terminated her corporate career and took up Reiki professionally in 2007. She's also trained in EFT yoga and other forms of energy healing, which she integrates quite effectively and intuitively during her sessions. She regularly organizes meditation classes and retreats as well. I've known Ashwita for about 8 years now, and she has been instrumental in changing my life in ways I never thought possible. I'm so happy I can bring this power of transformation to you today.
Thank you so much, Rishabh.
So, we're talking about the inner child. What is this inner child, and is it something that everyone has?
What is a child to us? A child is innocent, carefree, in the moment, trusting. These are aspects of us that make up our inner child. So yes, everyone has an inner child. Unfortunately, many of these aspects are wounded and damaged through our growing up years, and therefore they remain stunted and underdeveloped. I remember this exploration began for me as a teenager when I came across the phrase, "Don't grow old, grow up." I had never really thought of age that way before, and this phrase had me captivated for days. It's true, isn't it? Most of us grow old. We don't really grow up. We're still stuck in our childhood or our teens. And so I thought, for days, like I said, what is the difference? What is the difference between growing up and growing old? So, growing old is associated, it's synonymous with becoming rigid, dilapidated, weak, outdated. Growing up is about coping with tougher life situations with more ease and maturity, being flexible and more compatible with life. Growing up involves learning to transition from being dependent to being independent and self-reliant. Now this journey faces various obstacles because dependency makes people feel needed. So a lot of parents encourage dependency at some level or another because it validates their existence. This hampers growth, obviously. Apart from this, when parts of our personality are rejected, we abandon those parts of ourselves too, and they move into the shadows, and they don't get nourished, which means they remain impoverished and childish instead of blossoming into the fully functional adult version of that aspect.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure most of us wouldn't think of growing up like that. Can you tell us more about that concept?
Well, to understand the concept of the inner child, we first need to understand that we have various aspects of our personality. We like to think of ourselves as one consolidated whole, but that isn't really how it is. We have various selves that sort of come together to form what we are. So some of these parts are acknowledged and accepted, whereas others are forgotten or rejected and maybe even shunned. Broadly speaking, we have the tendency to slip between child, parent, and adult states. A healthy child state is spontaneous, carefree, intuitive, creative, and a healthy parent state is the one in control, responsible, taking charge, the authority figure. The adult state is the one that exists in the now, and the more active this adult state is, the more it is in control of which state is to activate in this moment, based on which state is more useful in the present moment. For example, if you're meeting with friends after a long time, walking in nature, or trying to make art, slipping into the child state would be very useful. But if you're trying to take care of an infant or a sick or an old person, it's really useful to slip into parent mode. If the adult aspect of you isn't strong, however, the other two states are sort of out of control, and we can slip in and out of them at the wrong times and in the wrong places. With an unhealed and traumatized inner child, it can get quite difficult to navigate through life situations without losing it every so often.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I really like the perspective of the three aspects and how they need to be healthy for us to function effectively. So tell us, how does the inner child get wounded? How does that happen?
Healthy adulthood revolves around acknowledging, accepting, and taking responsibility for our feelings and desires. However, we mimic our parents in how we deal with ourselves. So, if our parents gave us space and compassion with respect to a certain emotion or incident, then we can deal with those situations in a balanced way. But if our parents suppressed, ignored, condemned, or wounded a part of us, especially repeatedly, then we carry the same patterns and handle those emotions in an unhealthy, childish way. Let's take the example of a common issue, anger. Suppose every time a 3-year-old has had a temper tantrum, its parents reject it and suppress the child, it learns that anger makes one unlovable. So the child rejects its own anger and grows up to be this passive-aggressive person who cannot handle being angry or cannot handle someone else's anger. The exposure to internal or external anger brings the person back to age 3, which is where the development stopped. So the person could be 50 years of age, but the person dealing with the anger is only 3.
Yeah, I think that's what I see a lot of people struggle with, anger. So how do we know which parts of our inner child are wounded? Is it just by how we react to certain emotions, or is there more to it than that?
Some of this is obvious. If you've been wounded as a child in any way, whether it was physical abuse, sexual abuse, an indifferent parent, extreme bullying, or a parent leaving or dying, you know that you need to work very deeply with your inner child. And once you cross a certain stage with this healing, it can bring about profound shifts in the way you approach people in life. Other aspects you may be able to figure out on your own if you are very self-aware. Or you might need a little bit of help. A wounded inner child manifests as childish behavior. So it is important to observe ourselves very carefully in this regard. Are you childish or are you childlike? If you've been told that you're acting childish or immature when it comes to certain emotions, then you have a clear sign which emotion is triggering that behavior, and that is the one you need to work with. And of course, childish behavior includes shouting matches, otherwise untamed aggression, crying at the drop of a hat, being prone to depression, or having problems with adulting. We've been programmed to believe that becoming an adult involves being all serious and putting our innocence and sense of wonder aside. If they're still alive, that is. If this is how you behave, it is a clear sign that the inner child needs healing. If you have trouble laughing and singing freely, if you tend to hold on to grudges for a long time, then you need to heal your inner child.
Okay, those are really simple and effective ways of knowing if you're carrying old wounds. Still, how do we really benefit from healing our inner child? How does it manifest in day-to-day life?
I think the most prominent benefit is greater maturity and responsibility. Obviously, this includes improvement in anger issues, setting boundaries, being able to choose happiness, and being able to have more balanced relationships. And the inner child is nothing but a part of who we are, so accepting and embracing the inner child deepens our love for ourselves, which obviously affects every area of our lives, especially relationships. If you have children, then you get the biggest benefit of all, because healing your inner child transforms the way you parent your children.
Wow, so you mean we can make sure our children have a healthier inner child? That's pretty amazing.
Well, yes and no. I am not so much in favor of trying to work with your offspring's inner child. Ultimately, it's not always what you do, but your underlying intention which matters. This journey is about working so deeply on yourself that you naturally don't damage your children's inner child. Because even if you remain silent when something happens, but you're inside totally judging your son or daughter in your head, they sense it and it still damages them. We treat our children the same way we treat our inner child. So transforming your relationship with your inner child will help you raise your children better and have a healthier inner child quite automatically. Whereas simply trying to fix your children's inner child will cause your own suppressed feelings to hurt your children in some other way. Charity begins at home, and healing has to begin with the self. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I have two different clients. One was physically abused as a child, and his mother had anger issues and would frequently take it out by hitting him every time she was angry. Today, this man has grown up, and he loves his parents to bits and does so much for them. I have another client, completely different story. He has amazing parents who took so much care of him, got him the best of education, sent him to develop various hobbies, never pressurized him, and yet he has grown up into a person who hates his parents. He can't stand the sight of them. So what went wrong? Now, before I go on, I want to make it clear that I am not encouraging or validating the use of physical abuse here. These are just two real stories, that's all. But in the first case, despite going out of her own control, the mother loved the child deeply. And when she hurt him, it was because of her own frustration. She couldn't help it. She couldn't help herself anymore. But in the second case, even though the parents did so much for him, ultimately he was never good enough. And when they did hurt him, not physically but emotionally and verbally, when they did hurt him, it was basically to manipulate and fix him. And this is what makes all the difference. In the first case, the mother seems crazy to an outsider, but she was more accepting of her own inner child. Or maybe she was simply too busy battling her own inner demons to have any expectations of the child. So he could grow up into a man capable of returning the love he had received. In the second case, the mother is highly self-critical and has a tendency to judge and hurt herself. And this is how she's treated the child. So now the child copies the mother, and he judges and criticizes the mother and hurts her now that he's grown up. So of course, what actions we take are really, really important. But it is far more important to be clear what the underlying motivation is. What space are you coming from? And this clarity is only possible when we've healed our own inner child.
Oh, that's so true. I mean, parents don't realize how sensitive their children are. So naturally, if they work on themselves, things would change. But it sounds so complicated, though. Do you recommend we work with a therapist, or is this something we can try on our own?
For normal aspects, we can work with ourselves through visualization and meditation. The deeper in awareness we are, the deeper we can take our healing. Or as I mentioned earlier, having a friend or family member who is aware can help point out moments where we're clearly being childish or unreasonable. Once we've identified the issue, we can work with it through various exercises. For serious issues, I highly recommend a therapist. Now, what are serious issues? If you know that you've been through severe physical abuse or sexual abuse, or a parent dying, or severe disease, a family member having serious illness, any of these issues, you know that this is serious enough for you to seek out the help of a therapist. The inner child is one of the most vulnerable parts of us, and it can really help to have someone hold our hands through the difficult parts of the healing.
That makes perfect sense. So I know you've given us a few ideas already, but can you give us a little more guidance on how we can go about healing our inner child?
The first part is awareness of the inner child. Often looking at pictures of yourself from your childhood can help make it much easier to reconnect with that part of yourself. Once you know that there's a little you deep inside that is wounded and needs attention, you can start focusing more on helping that little person heal and grow up. Next, we need to learn how to parent our inner child. You need to become the parent you've never had. And you need to shower the child with love and support and create the space to facilitate healing and growth. What is the first sign of love? It is that we pay attention. Set an intention that you want to connect with your inner child and pay attention to the feelings, the emotions, and the memories that come up. The more you listen, the more deeply you connect with your inner child, and the deeper your transformation will be. Now, once you know what problem your inner child wants to work with, the next step is to create the space for that child to feel whatever it is feeling. If the feeling is really intense, you could get in touch with it and give it expression through painting or dancing or singing. But more than anything else, you need to tell your inner child that it is okay to feel what it is feeling. It really is about learning how to parent the inner, wide-eyed, innocent, and carefree child within us. This child can make unreasonable demands, have wild dreams, or react strongly to situations. And just like a good parent would encourage his child, but at the same time draw boundaries and set limits, we need to make sure we create a nurturing space. And just like a good parent would encourage and create a nurturing space for the child, but at the same time draw boundaries and set limits and enforce discipline. This is how we treat the inner child as well. And just like when a child with loving and supporting parents is well behaved and mature, when we are balanced and kind to our inner child acts mature and well balanced and does not create problems in our daily lives.
That sounds like a fascinating process. I have a question though. If we heal our inner child, does that mean we lose our capacity to have fun, be carefree, and, take life less seriously?
No, we don't lose the inner child. It simply becomes a healthy part of us, contributing to our overall existence. When the inner child is healthy and happy, it creates this space for us to be more carefree and spontaneous. In the right situations, it allows us to surrender control when it's right to do, and to sit back and truly relax when that's the right thing to do. But that's not all. Healing the inner child actually allows us to be much better parents too, not in the sense of parenting your children, but the 3 states that we were talking about. Because the child and the parent personalities sort of go hand in hand. When the inner child is unhealed, a person will tend to switch between child mode and parent mode with people, becoming childish and irresponsible and bossy in turns. When the inner child is healed, both these aspects balance out and the adult is free to choose which state to be in a given moment.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Having said all this though, is there anything we should watch out for when healing our inner child?
Yes, there are a few things which are helpful to bear in mind. As I mentioned earlier, we treat ourselves the way our parents treated us. So if our parents were harsh and critical about us, then we are harsh and judgmental about ourselves. Now, this is a risky situation because the moment such a person hears about a course like this, you're going, yay, here's another opportunity to fix myself. Unfortunately, that's another extension of the same problem. It is important to ensure that you're not getting into inner child healing to fix yourself so that you can be a better person, which will win the approval of your inner parent. If this is your attitude, then you need to work with this aspect first and then move on after this has been healed. Maybe seek a therapist's help if needed. And secondly, don't rationalize. We're brought up being told that it's okay and not okay to feel certain things. But feelings exist. There doesn't have to be a reason why they do. Trying to explain feelings is not only pointless, but it can be quite a distraction and can slow healing down. When you're working with your inner child and come across a feeling that doesn't make sense, or worse, might be wrong. Like, I remember a woman being relieved that her mother was dead. She just couldn't accept that feeling. How can I be relieved that my mother is dead? I must be a bad person. But the mother was an extremely abusive person who had hurt this woman tremendously, and her system was relieved at her passing over. So don't try to make your feeling go away, or try to make sense of what you're feeling, or try to judge it as right or wrong. Simply dive into the feeling and let it fade away by itself.
Those are some really common traps that a lot of us can fall into. Would it be possible for you to guide us through a short inner child healing?
Yes, of course. So start by sitting comfortably, lie down if possible,
Okay.
and get comfortable. And obviously, don't do this if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, please. Okay, so close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and every time you breathe out, let every stress and tension just leave your body with your breath. Let every cell of your body relax. Now I want you to start by bringing your attention to your toes. Relax your toes. Relax the soles of your feet. Relax your ankles. Relax your calves. Relax your knees. Relax your thighs. Loosen your hips. And relax all the tense muscles in your lower back. Relax your upper back. Let go of your abdomen. Relax your chest. Relax your fingers, your wrists, relax your forearms, relax your elbows, relax your upper arms, and let your shoulders completely relax. Let every single one of those muscles go completely loose and limp. Relax the back of your neck. And the back of your head. Relax your neck, your jaws, your cheekbones, relax your ears, your temples, the top of your head. Relax your forehead. relax your eyebrows. And relax your eyes. As you relax your eyes, I want you to imagine that you're looking into a mirror, a full-length mirror. As you watch this reflection, imagine that your reflection is getting younger, going backwards in time, getting younger with every passing moment, and stopping at a stage when it's right. Don't think this. Let it happen on its own. Trust your feeling. You stop growing younger in the mirror when the time is right. And when you get there, look at this little child in the mirror. Look into its eyes and wish to connect with it very deeply. Set an intention to connect. And now I want you to step into the mirror and join this little child. Once you're there, I want you to see what incident is going on and witness it as both your little self and your adult self. Watch it as it happens. If this situation involves any kind of abuse from an adult, step in as your adult self and ask them to back off lovingly and compassionately. But step in to protect your inner child. Once this incident is over, sit down with your inner child and ask this little child how it feels about this entire incident. What are the feelings? Not the thoughts, not the assessment or the theories, but what is this little child feeling? Allow this child to feel whatever it is feeling. And just be there. If the child needs to hear something, you can say it to your little self. Now you can tell your inner child that you're always here for it. That from now on you will protect, guide, and help and nourish this little one. That it doesn't ever have to be afraid or helpless ever again. Once you've said this, look into the eyes of this little child again and allow this child to merge into you. You might want to embrace the little child and just feel that the two of you are merging into one. Take a deep breath. Feel the love that you have integrated into your system. And feel this love spreading from your heart, moving outwards into every cell of your body. Take another deep breath, and when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Bring your awareness to your physical body, your feet, your knees, your hips. Come back to the present moment. And open your eyes when you're done. So how was that for you?
It was really deep. Yeah, I'm almost in tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I don't know, I'm not sure what age it was, but I was taken back to, for some reason, my first day of school.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so vulnerable. I'd never been away from my parents before then, and that was the first time that they couldn't be next to me. And I still remember that moment when they dropped me off, and I'm round the corner, and I'm just going up the stairs, and they're down right there, and I go around the corner and they're gone, and I'm just by myself, and I felt so needy and vulnerable and afraid and alone, and it was the worst feeling that I can ever remember, and just brought me to tears going back there. And it sort of makes me realize how, I don't know, I just didn't, I don't know what it was, but it's just going back there and telling that little me that it's okay, that I'm there for him. That made such a great difference. It's the way you describe just holding that version of you, that you, and then becoming one with it, it felt incredible. Well, it was really powerful.
Lovely.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this session, believe me, this is only a small trailer of the real thing. Ashwita offers a 21-day online course on healing your inner child, which you can sign up for today at 50% off. Having done this course myself, I can tell you it's very deep and transformational. I've struggled all my life with self-destructive tendencies and being overly critical about myself. And this course just helped bring so much awareness to those issues and really helped me heal them from the root. And I'm sure it will do the same for you.